Hi, my name is Amber Barsma. I am a mom of 3 boys. I am from Fairbury originally, but when my husband and I moved back here from Peoria, we found a home in Forest that we loved, and we ended up moving here. And as a Forest resident, obviously with this whole referendum stuff, I've felt compelled to give you my story and how it affects me and as a mother and my previous experience as a daycare provider. I began doing daycare when my oldest son was 1 year old. He's now 10. At that time is when they switched to attendance centers with the district. So anybody that has a child that they're from Forest, Strawn, or Chatsworth, they have to go over to Chatsworth to school. And then at that very same token, they also have to have a daycare in those towns. And so that caused a huge problem, honestly, for many of the parents that I was began providing daycare with, because Fairbury obviously has a lot more daycare options than there are in Forest, Chatsworth, and Strawn. And for example, like Faithful Friends holds 50 children there. And so there were parents scrambling to find where their child could go, especially in the preschool program, because they're only going half a day. So they have to have somewhere to go before if they're in the afternoon preschool, or they have to have somewhere to go in the afternoon if they go to morning preschool. So I ended up having teachers' children for a few years. And they were able to come to my home in Forest. I had calls all the time because there's just simply not enough daycare options, especially in these smaller towns over here in Forest, Chatsworth, and Strawn. And so daycare continues to be an issue. And then even with buying a house. So if you are buying a house right now in our district and you want your child to stay with the same friends that they've currently made, you're limited on where you're looking as well. Because if I live in Forest, for example, and then I want to buy a house, well, in order for my child, if they're in preschool, kindergarten, or first, to stay with their friends, I would be limited to looking at Forest, Chatsworth, and Strawn. So I truly believe that centralization can open up more opportunities, allow for more flexibility with daycare options, and it will greatly benefit parents, because not every parent can stay home with their child. Not every parent can homeschool their child. And so that would honestly really help the situation as far as daycare goes. And then as a Forest resident, I have never had a child that has gone to school in my town. My children have all been bused to Chatsworth. And then my oldest now has been going over to the former Westview or PCE in Fairbury. Never once has it been an issue. Never once have they complained. Never once have we thought anything else about it, because that's what has been best for the district at the time. One thing that people don't realize is what a problem this creates for, the bus drivers. You have to go east to get west. There's things that just don't quite make sense. Like my nephew is picked up at the junior high. He is then taken to Chatsworth, where they pick up all the elementary kids, which includes my son. And then they are on the bus together, riding back this way before they start the Forest route. And there are children with special needs that the only spot for the ACES program for the younger ones is in Chatsworth. So we have a child, at least one child in diapers who is nonverbal, that is riding the bus all the way from Chenoa over to Chatsworth for school every day. They are nonverbal. They are unable to tell you, what their day is like. We know that their ride is not a great one. They don't like it. But right now, the only space that we have is over in Chatsworth for that child. So that leads me to look at the big picture. What is best for our entire district? If you look at a map of our entire school district, Fairbury is in the center. It is not about what's best for an individual. It is what is best for everyone as a whole. What is the most fair? And Fairbury is in the center. It simply does not make sense to bus children, the majority of our children, outside of those towns. It does not make sense for over in Chenoa to have 1 to 2 Chenoa students and then they're remaining from Fairbury. Our busing will be improved. It will never be perfect. It is the second largest district in the state, but it will be improved with centralizing. So while my children do get on the bus every single day and ride to the next town, what awaits them are old buildings that need repair. Old buildings that could close down and will close down in order to repair them the way that they need to be. So my children will be displaced. Is that what we want for our children? Think about it. We need to come together. I still encourage everyone to be respectful no matter which way you are leaning. But we need to come together and you need to look at the future of our district. What makes sense? So as a resident of Forest, I urge you to look at the facts in front of you. There is a plan, if this goes through, that 4 to 5 million will be put into the Forest buildings. They are trying to improve and lengthen the time that those buildings can remain open. If in 20 years, and let me make sure you understand, I said if those buildings are closed, and if that is what is best for the district in 20 to 30 years, we can reassess. The board has been transparent and looking at a vision that they have that could happen in 20 or 30 years. Because we have to think about the future. All of us have end goals, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. But when you go to college or when you take a job, you are always working towards something. There's always an end goal. So, please look at the facts. Look at where we are. What makes sense? Our teachers are asking you to support them. Please listen to them because they will be the ones in the buildings on April 2nd, and they will be the ones that have trying to put one foot in front of the other based on the decision of the voters. My name is Amber Barsma, and I stand with Prairie Central.